Borada and welcome to the InstaSim channel. Today I'm going to start a new series which has been something I've been wanting to do for some time on the channel, but haven't had the time to get into it, which is the InstaRants series which I'm going to be starting today. Just to briefly explain the series, basically these videos will be me expressing my opinion about different things that have been happening, just to bring a point across about how I personally feel about these different things. I will talk more in detail about this in a future episode, but I wanted to start off with a pilot episode just to show off the series and to show off the format, and see if you guys enjoyed these videos, give your own opinions and suggest topics for future episodes. To start off the series, I thought I'd talk about a matter that's been going on around the internet for quite a long time, which is the PC Master Race. Before I begin the episode, I would like to say despite what I'm going to be saying in this video, I do personally prefer PC gaming over console gaming, though I am very fond of both forms of playing games, and I really enjoy both as well. So don't get your mouse and keyboard in a twist and let's get started. First of all, we're going to be going back in time all the way to 2008, when this entire PC Master Race legend began. The term was first used during Ben Croshaw's zero punctuation review of The Witcher, as you can see here.
What quickly becomes obvious is that Witcher is very much a PC exclusive game, which are typically designed to be as complex and unintuitive as possible so that those dirty console playing peasants don't ruin it for the glorious PC gaming master race.
But now, if we pan back to the Wikipedia page by reading the quote, it's easy to see that the original use of the phrase was intended to be ironic, and the quote clearly states at the end, "I meant it as a dig." This came from an article he wrote back in 2014, which I will link in the description. Who knows, it might be a very interesting read to the PC Master Race loyalists, who batter the console gamers to the floor every time they're mentioned on the internet. In conclusion to this, it was initially intended as a harmless joke to prove a point. As the term got popular, it actually lost its original meaning, and this, in my opinion, is when the cancerous community of PC Master Race began. When it started off as a joke, became an excuse to pity and bully console gamers, using casual and filthy as words of choice to describe them. Well, let's use that now against the PC gamers and see how they react to it. You filthy PC gaming peasants bragging about high performance and quality, since when have any of these factors actually improved gameplay at all? I still thoroughly enjoy my PlayStation 2, which plays in 720x576 at 25 frames per second, and it looks smooth as pudding. You should be ashamed of yourselves, you casual PC peasants, and go back to the days of the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo Entertainment System, where none of this PC Master Race cancer existed. There are a few more things in the Wikipedia page that I don't think are relevant to this video, but I'll leave a link in the description for anyone who wants to read the full article. There's also a wiki about the PC Master Race. I'm not going to go too much in depth on the wiki, but there's a few points that stuck out to me. Also, before I delve into this, please bear in mind I do understand a lot of this is probably just a joke, but I still want to give my opinion on the content put in here. First thing that caught my eye on this wiki was this. Apart from the aforementioned casual and filthy, we now have plebs to add to the list of words to call console gamers. The first page we're going to look into on this wiki is the Nintendo page. On this page, I'm only going to focus on the PC Master Race on Nintendo section, as this is the most relevant to the video, but you guys can look at the rest if you want to. The first thing here that catches the eye is probably the list of 3 reasons why Nintendo is sympathised by PC Master Race, those being they don't try to be a PC, they're often doing their own thing, and they make fun games. Maybe apart from the first point on the list, the other 2 are pretty much correct with Sony and Microsoft. It's mainly Microsoft that are trying to make their console more like PCs anyway, incorporating cross-platform multiplayer between Windows 10 and Xbox One. We don't see Sony doing this, nor Nintendo, therefore the first point is mainly true about Microsoft. The only exception is Rocket League, since it has cross-platform multiplayer between PlayStation 4, Xbox One and PC, which are primarily why I'm playing Rocket League in this video. The next line reads, "The games have good gameplay and after all are all fun to play." But isn't this why we should all just enjoy gaming in the first place? Nintendo aren't the only company making good games. There's good games to play on Xbox and PlayStation. Being a PlayStation fan though, I prefer their games to any other console. But that's my opinion and feel free to disagree. From games like Ratchet & Clank, Uncharted, The Last of Us and many other wonderful exclusives, how can you go wrong? The last point in this section, most of the Wii U's titles are 1080p in glorious 60 frames per second, unlike the PlayStation 4 and Xbone. I'm unsure about this one to an extent. Xbox One has 15 games that run at 1080p 60 frames per second as of July the 30th, which in my opinion is appalling for a current gen console, and the PS4 has 69 games running at 1080p 60 frames per second as of July the 29th. Compared to the amount of games on the system, there really aren't many playing at the highest res and frame rate, but it doesn't come to show that the consoles are capable of achieving this, which a lot of PC Master Race tends to say they can't. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any information on how many Wii U games run at 1080p 60, Therefore, due to lack of visible proof, I render the point made on the wiki invalid. If someone could link me to a page with this info, that'd be fantastic. I will link the websites where I found the information about the PS4 and Xbox One 1080p 60 frames per second videos in the description. The last point I want to make in this video is on the PC gaming page on the wiki. Firstly, in the development section, whilst yes, games are being developed using a PC using Unity or Unreal or any other game engine available, they do provide the tools to make games on console. It is easier to distribute games on PC than it is to distribute on console. However, by distributing to both platforms, you increase the audience, which is what developers try to do with most games. Also, console exclusives are not corrupt decisions by developers. They're entitled to what they want to do, and if they want to make console exclusives, then by all means, let them. Also, some games work better on consoles anyway. I'd personally rather play games like Call of Duty on a console. Action adventure is also a good genre that works on console, like think Mario. Would that generally work if it was on PC? Probably not, as it is more of a game of navigating around the map. You don't need a mouse and keyboard for that. The very last point of this video which I want to make is modding, and this is probably the only point I'm going to make for the PC Master Race. Modding is always a good way to add new features, create better visuals, and so many more things you can do that will take too long to list in this video. Consoles generally don't have mod support on games, but some games have some sort of modding available, so the likes of DLCs, to add new features to the game. DLCs don't really go into as much depth as modding does to the game, but it's still a pretty good way of modding your games, albeit a lot more expensive since DLC is usually paid for. Modding gives people the opportunity to create new things as well. Some developers do provide tools to help with modding and also encourage people to add mods to their games. SCS Software encourages people to make mods for Euro Truck Simulator 2, and a lot of people make very good mods and upload them to the Steam Workshop. Now this is the end of the InstaRants episode, and I do hope you guys enjoyed this format of videos which I made for you today. And please remember that all of this is my opinion and you're entitled to disagree with my point if you have a different opinion. I'd like to know your opinions down in the comments below if you do have a different opinion to mine, or if you completely agree with what I've said as well. I would also really like suggestions for future episodes, and feedback on this episode will also be appreciated. All links to pages I've looked at as research will be linked in the description. So don't forget to like this video if you did enjoy it. Also don't forget to comment down below with your opinions, new suggestions, feedback, and just anything else that you may want to comment about. And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it'll help me out a lot and you get more videos like this. Also don't forget to like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter and on Twitch. There's also a new Dailymotion page available now, which will also be linked in the description. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. But until then, goodbye.